recording to the cloud. So welcome everybody to another edition of Club Officer Roundtable. So my name is Scott Brown. I'm the Program Quality Director here in District 11 for Indiana and Northern Kentucky. And we're excited to have everyone join us today for another fun-filled day of learning a little bit more about how to be a club officer, of how to apply what we learn as being a club officer out into the real world, and also to ensure that you all get credit for club officer training towards your distinguished club program. So before we get started, just a couple of questions for you. Did anybody come with questions that you really wanted to have answered today? We want to make sure that we get those answered. If you came with something that you're like, I really want to know this thing, I'm confused. Who has stuff that you brought that you really wanted to know today?
This is Bob Glenn in Owensboro. Can you all hear me?
Yep.
Can you all hear me? Okay.
Absolutely.
I'm on a new laptop, so I didn't know whether this is working or not. So quick question,
nice
and you
camera,
won't like the question, and it's not directed at you. When will Toastmasters enter the 21st century and create digital training so that we are not having, particularly those of us, some of you may be brand new, and I understand the need for that orientation and all, but I've been a treasurer for 6 years, hadn't radically changed. It's an important role. I respect that. But in terms of people's time, I would think, particularly with COVID as a lesson, there ought to be a way to do this training digitally, particularly if you've already been an officer for a while. I agree we should do the training. But
yes, I completely agree with you. So let's give a little bit of a history here first, and this might answer your question a little bit. Before COVID hit, so up until a year ago, how often had you been to an online training for club officers? Anybody?
Well, no, they were all live. Yeah, they were all live.
The reason they were live is because until COVID hit, Toastmasters International said, no, we are a live organization. We interact with people. Part of being a leader involves being able to be present. So all of our trainings will always be live. And then all of a sudden, staying alive meant that we couldn't be together. So they changed their thought and they said, well, what if we did this stuff online? Since all the clubs are meeting online, I guess we can do that. And it was kind of a big deal for them first to have the epiphany that I guess we have to let clubs meet online now. Like, how are we going to do that? So they kind of bent their ways and allowed us to meet online. And then somebody said, well, let's do the training online too. And after 4 people's heads exploded that was something that just could never possibly happen in our lifetime, they bent again and said, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Let's do some trainings online. But then those 4 people whose head exploded, they all came back together and said, well, we're still a live organization. We still believe in being present. And I can understand that in a way, and to make sure that there's some consistency out there. So Toastmasters International said, yes, you can do training online, but it has to be live in-person training online. It cannot be recorded sessions. To which we, as one of those districts that thought, the internet allows us to record stuff and store it somewhere. YouTube is the only channel that young kids watch for the most part. When you say what's on ABC, they're going to be like, DEF? I don't know what you're talking about. But they know YouTube. So everybody out there knows YouTube. We said we want to be able to store stuff there. And we talked to Toastmasters International. And they said, well, I guess it makes sense to be able to store those things for members to go back and watch, but we're still a live group. So we said, well, how about if we pull people together to have a live roundtable where we can talk about being a club officer and pull them together that way? And they went, huh. And again, 4 people's heads exploded and they eventually bent. So the answer to your question, Bob, is I don't see that happening anywhere in the near future. We are really happy.
I had to ask because we get that asked of us a lot, particularly by folks that have been. I got a guy, in our club, we've got people that have been in there 20 years and they've been to officer training and they've been to officer training and they have the t-shirt, and if officer training changed radically for the officers, yes, I could see the need. Or if you just need to check it off and say it's been done, I respect that. I totally understand that. But I just wonder, digitization it's how our club survived. I mean, being able to go online. No, if we didn't have Zoom and all this, we'd be dead.
Correct.
And I'm in another club that we're not meeting because they're too old. They can't do the digital. They're just too old. Say 70, 80-year-old guys, no offense. I'm 60, so I'm no spring chicken. They can't do it. you can't make an 80-year-old get online. I mean, some can, some can't. Anyway, thank you for taking time to answer my question. Sorry about that.
No, don't be sorry at all. I wanted to give you a little bit of the history. So when you answer the question the next time in your club, you can say, here's how we got to the place we are now. So let's kind of do the math and go forward and realize it's not going to come down the road anytime soon. We are looking as a district, though, that for next year, we know that this has very much worked. And how many of you have been to the recordings that we have on YouTube? How many have gone out and watched any of those things? Have you found those to be valuable? Do you think it's valuable to have those out there?
Mhm.
Good. Like, I haven't really found many people that are like, no, that's a stupid thing to do. One or two have said that have been in that place, but they've kind of also been the ones that are like, the internet is evil. So we're looking to try to figure out another way next year, a different way next year, to kind of combine the aspects to make it a little bit more user-friendly, so you don't have to go watch one and then come to another place. We want to make this an easier experience for everybody. We don't know what that is right now for next year, but we are definitely looking to evolve the system so that the system becomes more user-friendly year after year after year. The genie's out of the bottle. There's no way that they're going to all of a sudden come back and say, no, you have to all of a sudden go back to being live, because there's not a district out there that didn't have better results from club officer training being online than what they did when they were live. Because let's be honest, who really wants to drive to Indianapolis on a Saturday to go to a live event, or to Evansville if you live in Fort Wayne, or to Louisville if you live up by Notre Dame? Like that, you need to fly those places practically. The being online has narrowed our travel time so much that there's no way we could have done this on a regular basis if we had to be in person. So the genie's out of the bottle. It's going to be a thing. We just have to figure out how to make it work better. So if you have ideas on that, I am all ears for how this might evolve into future years, for what this will look like down the road. But I think it's here to stay permanently. Jackie, what do you have?
I was hoping a little bit in line with Bob is that since our term is for a year, why do we have to get trained twice a year when things have not changed? You know, maybe there could be like an online for those who are continuing. And if somebody's transitioning in the mid of the year, you know, of the term, then they can do this whole blown out thing. But that's my only thing. I'm with Bob. It sometimes is a little redundant. And I just don't understand why we have to have it twice a year when nothing has changed.
All right, so let's go back to story time and to explain kind of how we got here also. How many of you have chartered a club recently? Not many. Okay. So one of when you enter all the information, when you charter a club, one of the pieces that you put in there as you're creating the bylaws for the club is how often you have elections. Indiana, District 11 here, is an anomaly that the vast majority of our clubs are annual terms. When you look around Toastmasters as a whole, many clubs, a vast percentage of them, I want to say the last I heard is about 65% of all clubs internationally have 6-month terms. So while you're in a club and your personal experience is, we're here for a year, so why do we have to do this on a regular basis? The bulk of the world says we're going to shift every 6 months, and they rotate people through roles every 6 months. And they have elections for club officers every 6 months, all through this as a whole. So while our experience might be a little bit different, it's the reason why when we get to the second term, you notice that you didn't have to, you go to Fall Education Week, you didn't have to go to the role-specific training for your role for this time. It's the second term, we allow you to go and do something about how to be a better leader, learn something more about Toastmasters, but not necessarily how to be a president, how to be a VPE, how to be a secretary, how to be a treasurer. That it's more generic and hopefully focus more on leadership and development and the personal development, those sorts of things. The reason we do that is because we are specifically in a district that we're almost all annual terms. Very few clubs here have semi-annual terms. So for the many, it makes sense to do it on a regular basis and have that role for the bulk. We just happen to be an anomaly. It's kind of the difference between climate and weather. One is a little bit broader than the other. You experience one more, but the other one exists out there. So I hope that answers your question a little bit as to the why, and also kind of how we try to make the second term different than the first term's training. So that the first term is role specific, second term is leadership specific. So you don't have to go to that president, VPE training, that kind of stuff. You get to do this kind of stuff instead, which counts towards club officer training for TI. So does that make sense? Does that answer the question a little bit? Good. So then when you get to tell that story the next time to your club, you can be like, we are an anomaly amongst Toastmasters. We are the trendsetters, as I like to think we are. Very cool. Very good question, Jack. I appreciate that. Nobody ever asks that. That's a really good point. So what else? What other questions were out there you wanted to answer? Deanna, what do you have, my friend? You're muted. I can't hear you. Sorry.
That's the most popular phrase now in the world, is you're muted.
You hear me now?
You hear me now. I'm sorry about that. I wanted to find out about contest this year. We came back because we are a club that works on a university campus. And so we didn't even open back up until last Wednesday. And so getting ready for contest, normally we would have it at the end of January, but this year we're just a little bit behind because the whole schedule is a little bit behind. What is the latest that we can have our club contest and still, manage to send someone to the regional?
Okay, so I'm going to give you two answers to that. The official cutoff date for club contests is February 6th.
Okay.
All club contests should be done by February 6th. But what is the first day for area contests? Everybody's like, I hope you answer because I have no idea. It's February 14th. So there's an 8-day window between when you have to be done with club contests and before you start area contests. Why do you think we built a week in there as a buffer between the two? This one should be the obvious answer.
Yeah, I would assume it's because some people may not be able to meet the deadline of February.
Exactly. We want to give everybody a little bit of a leeway. So we're like, aim for this day. But if stuff happens, you have to go to that last week, you can do that, that buffer week. The only thing that by Toastmasters rule, we have to have all of the club contests done before we move on to area contests. Then you have to have all the area contests done before you move on to all the division contests, and you have to have all the division contests done before you move on to the district contest. So you can't still be doing clubs and then areas over here. There's an end, and then you start over with an area contest. So you really have until February 13th. At midnight would be the last time you can have it, because February 14th is the start date for area contests.
Thank you. And then for people moving on, last year, I know that folks weren't able to because of the beginning of COVID. There was the whole thing about the international competition. Will they be doubling up on that? So like if a different person, okay.
No, so last year's contest, so here's this is a good time to tell a lot of stories about kind of how we got here in Toastmasters in the district. So the reason why we canceled the contest for last year, we knew that as a district, we did not have the technical capacity, the understanding of technology for most clubs to be able to pull off effective contests. All we were going to do was have some people know how to do this and other people being really mad because they weren't able to figure this thing out and they weren't included. So instead of having this divide between the technologically savvy and all those people on the other side like me, we decided to kind of split. We decided that, it's not fair to the many. So we're going to cancel the contest this year so that we can do it right for next year. Last year, they still had an international final. There was still somebody that won in the finals last year. So that whole contest season's done and in the books now. We were one of probably 30% of all clubs out there that never sent, or 30% of all districts that never sent anybody on to the quarterfinals last year. Okay. So you kind of almost need an asterisk for the winner last year because they competed against only 2/3 of the clubs out there. It was still a great speech, and I think he did a fantastic job. But there was a third of districts that didn't send anybody on last year. This year, we're not in that boat. Like, we've started this, we know how to do it. We've done the training on how to get people to do all this stuff. We've been on Zoom now for a year. I wouldn't say we're comfortable, but we understand it to how to actually do this thing. So yes, we are going through. We will be sending somebody onto the quarterfinals this year and doing all the stuff in the right way to try to have the best experience for contestants as possible.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
Does that answer?
Yes, I thought it would help I figured I would have questions about that when I sent a note out to apply for contest or plan your speech now. So thank you very much.
Cool. Very good. Outstanding. Margaret, what do you have, my friend?
Is there any way to know when other clubs are having their contests and whether we can visit them?
So the answer to visit them, yes, you can absolutely visit them. For the when, we've asked all clubs to communicate with their area directors on when their contests are going to be. So if you're interested in finding out a specific club contest, you can do one of two things. Contact the club. That's probably the easiest way. Or ask the area director, who should have those dates for all of those club contests within their area. And then as we moved on to area contests, the easiest way to find all the area contests would be to contact the division director, who would know when all the contests are within their division for their areas. So contact them personally. You can just reach out through email, through phone. I know phone, it's a crazy concept. The least used app on our phone is actually the phone. And you can just pick up the phone and call them if you want to, or you can email them, you can text them, whatever.
Well,
Same way we used to do in real life.
I think our area, I think there's very few contests going on in our area, if any at all. So I was just looking to see, possibly going to some other area, other clubs contests that may not be in my area. But I have no way of knowing which clubs are having contests.
Area directors and there were some division directors that know all their club contests in there, depending upon how big the division is. Like I know within our division, within Division B, I believe we only have 2 clubs that are actually holding a physical contest. Everyone else is just sending someone on to the area. So there are a lot of clubs out there that are sending people to area, but they're not physically having a contest itself. They're doing the selection process as a club just to send them on. Check with area directors. That's your best bet, though.
Okay.
Good. What else? What other questions do you have? Sure. Go ahead, Margaret.
Question. Okay, this particular roundtable is for the fall training, isn't it?
Spring.
It's for
spring or winter. So there's 2 dates. You have the initial training when we start the Toastmasters year, beginning of July, that we have to be done by the end of August. And then this training needs to be done by the end of February. So we start again November 1st, and we have to be finished by February 28th. So there's 2 periods of training. This one falls into term 2. Term 1 was already done. We did 74% of all of our club officers got trained during session 1. Now we're in session 2. Or if you want to call it spring and winter, or summer and spring, whatever you want to call them, we're in term 2.
So why is the roundtable occurring before the training, which is starting in end of January?
Okay, so we have all of the videos that are out there, correct?
Yeah, but the actual training is end of January.
The actual training for club-specific roles is in January. That is true. However, second round, you do not need to attend club president training or VPE training or VPM training or VPPR training. Remember Fall Education Week back in November? That counted towards the second round of club officer training. The second round is not geared towards, just like the question that Jackie asked, the second round is not geared towards specific roles. It's focused on how to help you become a better club officer or how to help you apply what you learn within Toastmasters to the outside world beyond Toastmasters. So you do not need to attend VPPR training if you are a VPPR for the second term in a year. You don't have to do that. The reason we're doing the roundtables is because if you didn't go to Fall Education Week, you could go to our YouTube playlist, watch a video, and then come here and be done. Okay. That's the reason why roundtables exist before the week of actual training. That week of actual training is really focused more on the clubs that had members leave for whatever reason. Like we all had clubs that have members that have left. None of us are as strong of a club right now as what we were numbers wise a year ago. So there are officers that left. There's a new VPPR in your club. There's a new president in your club. There's a new treasurer in your club. That's why we're doing that 7 days of club officer training. Those are the folks that really need to go to that. You could always go back and watch the recordings from a year ago. You could watch the Fall Education Day stuff from November. You could go back and watch the Great Education series from April and May. You can watch any of that stuff and get credit.
But if we've already done that,
Congratulations.
we don't have to do it again.
No,
Okay.
no, same. It will work the exact same way next year. It'll work the exact same way next year. You can go to the first round. You have to go to that specific training. And then after that, if you watch the recording, then go to a roundtable. Second term, go to the fun stuff. And then if you just watch the video of the fun stuff, then come to one of these. And it's all because we have to have a live component to our training for everyone to get credit within Toastmasters International. And it has to last at least 45 minutes. That's why we do this stuff. That's why all the videos are 45 minutes long at least. Does it make sense?
Mm-hmm.
We're good there?
Yes.
All right. So how many of you know where these videos are that I keep talking about? There's a couple, and I just saw 2 people go, whoa. All right. So we have a handy dandy little storage place for all of our videos. And we store them on a link through the District 11 website. So how many of you have been here? Toastmastersd11.org. Are you familiar with this? That this is out there somewhere? Laura was like, yes, very familiar. She should be, because it's not. Because if you go to where we have the training, which on the left-hand side here, you see Education Session Video Library, Education Session Video Library. See where I'm circling over here? On the left-hand side, thumbs up if you see where my cursor is going around in a circle, Education Session Video Library. Very good. Click on that. That's going to take you to the Education Session Video Library link. This is why Laura should really know where this is, because her training is still the one that pops up first here from last year. In the middle of the page, click here to access the recordings, Club Officer Training Playlist. Does everyone see where I'm circling around here, Club Officer Training Playlist? Thumbs up if you see where I'm circling here with my cursor. Very good. Click on that. You're going to go to a YouTube playlist. And it's a private YouTube playlist. So we don't publish all this stuff publicly, although anybody can really get to it. You just have to know where it is. But you can't search on YouTube for it. You have to come through our website to find it. And we have right now, wow, I think 61 videos so far that we have saved here. That's a lot of stuff to be able to watch about this. So we have the bottom ones here. This is last week's question and answers. I'm still uploading from last week. If you start at the very top of it, unsurprisingly, we lead off with contests because we're in contest season. You can learn kind of you can see the trainings that we did about contests. You can see what we learned from hosting contests. I was a chief judge at a club contest in Florida a couple of months ago, messed up completely, but learned some stuff from it. So we shared all that with all of you, how to host club contests. Then we have the awards. We start doing presentations. Then we have all of the club officer training. So club president role, VPE, secretary, membership, VPPR, treasurer, sergeant arms, all this that comes through here. Base camp trainings, because that's the one thing that we still are kind of struggling as a district with, is to get all of our members signed up and moving through pathways. A base camp is for the presidents, secretaries, and VPEs to help them understand how to do base camp. We go from there into Facebook demonstrations, how to hold effective meetings in LOT, free conference call, Jitsi. So some other free options that are out there. And if you don't like Zoom, you want to do something else, we did some reviews on how to actually do that. The Club Ambassador Program, all of this stuff is from Fall Education Week. Then we go down a little bit farther and we go into nominations and stuff that we did a little bit earlier during the summer when we did the Great Education series. So 61 videos out there. The list continues to grow. By the time I get this one uploaded, there'll be 64. Tomorrow's will be 65. Lots of videos to watch. There's a couple reasons to watch these videos. One, it does give you kind of a refresher and you get to kind of see some different things about Toastmasters and help you become a little bit better officer. They're here also as a recruiting tool. If you have members within your club that you're trying to get to take a leadership position and they don't know why they would do that, this is a wonderful recruitment tool to help them, one, understand how to do the job you want them to do. So if you're somebody that hasn't been an officer before and you're trying to tell them you should be a VP of membership, if they watch this, they're going to get to understand a little bit more about how to be a VP of membership and if it fits for them, if it fits within their goals. If they're trying to understand, I just joined because I want to be a better leader, then great. Then there's all kinds of sessions through here that talk about leadership. So we have a lot of stuff on here to help you keep your clubs engaged. You can always, if you wanted to, if you don't have any speakers at a meeting, you can always show one of these videos and then evaluate it if you wanted to give people practice on evaluations. There's a million ways to be able to use this stuff. The reason why it's here is to be as a resource for you. You notice it's all saved under the 2020-2021 club officer trainings. So what do you think is going to happen next year when we go to 2021/2022? What do you think will happen then? Think this will go away? You think we'll have a new playlist? That's all we're going to do. This stuff's going to still be up there. So we're not getting rid of anything. All we're going to do is keep adding to it. Our goal is this becomes the basis for a knowledge management system that as members leave, we don't lose the knowledge and experience that they have with them, that we don't lose all that, but instead we have a repository so we can keep track of what they've given us, how they've helped us grow. So we always have a repository of information for future generations of Toastmasters to be able to look back on and just to curate it as they need be. We're just at the beginning of the process. I fully envision this to be something that is an ongoing entity for years and years to come. So does it make sense to why we use this? It makes sense to how we use this and where it is? Thumbs up if you kind of get the whole why and how and where. Fantastic. So then if you go back and you go back to that main page for District 11, again, toastmastersd11.org. Up at the very top here, district calendar. How many of you have been to the district calendar, seen this before? A couple are like, yes, very good. If you click on the district calendar, this lists all of our trainings that we have upcoming. Now, as we were talking, I was talking with Rachel before everybody else got on the call today. We know that there is a significant glitch that is in Free Toast Host, which is where we house our website. And that glitch is this: wherever the person lives in the state, in that time zone, if there are members that access the calendar from another time zone, it messes up the days. So I live in Fort Wayne, and most of everything that's on gray in here is stuff that I have entered. So it's all Eastern Standard Time. If you live in the Central Time Zone, so that's pretty much all of Division A. If you live in the Central Time Zone, all of this is off. And we had talked to TI and they're like, we fixed it. Yay for us. Give us a hand. And then we went out and asked a couple of folks who lived in A. We're like, hey, did it fix? And they're like, yeah, we think so. We don't see anything weird with it. And we put out all the trainings and I started getting calls like, what's up with you and Sunday trainings? I'm like, oh, I don't do them. I don't know. I just don't do the weekends for you. Like, they have all kinds of Sundays. And then I started getting people show up at the wrong times again, which is why yesterday everyone got snips of the calendar so that so y'all could figure out on what day it actually falls. So right now, because I live in the Eastern Time Zone, and that's the bulk of the district, most people see this. Only a few people see something different. What happens though if the next PQD lives in Gary, Indiana, or up by Notre Dame, or somewhere down by Evansville, where you're in the Central Time Zone? What happens then?
We're in the Eastern Time Zone at Notre Dame, just for your future knowledge.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've never been there. I always thought that it was up by Chicago, so I'm wrong. All right, so if you live someplace in the Central Time Zone, which clearly is not Notre Dame, which is my fault.
Yeah.
If you live somewhere in the Central and you are the PQD and you are entering trainings, everybody then in the Eastern Time Zone is going to see something wrong. And that's just a glitch within Free Toast, which is why next year I have every intention of having a Google Calendar instead of having a Free Toast calendar, so that everybody can not just see the calendar, but can do something with it. If you're in here and you try to click on one of these, what happens? Nothing. Absolutely nothing happens. It's just a calendar. It's about as useful as the one that used to hang on your refrigerator. It doesn't go anywhere. You can't link this to Outlook. You can't link it to Google. You can't link it to your phone. Nothing. It's just a static calendar. So we're going to try next year with Google and upload a Google Calendar onto the main page of the website and see how that works and do something different. But for this year, know this is here, and I'll try to send out snips. I've sent out January and February already. Once we get in February, I'll send out March. Just make notices of it. I try to put everything happening on this stuff here. So you can see a lot of stuff in January. There's a lot of training opportunities in January, right? And then at the top here, once you're in the calendar, see these two little buttons right here, the maroon and gray ones that I'm going toggling back and forth between the two and changing the color. Top left, you see where I am here with my cursor? Thumbs up if you see this. If you click forward, you go to February. Lots of stuff happening in February. And you can see that I've added some stuff in specifically for area directors and division directors. So Nikki, like this would apply to you. I'm doing training just for ADs and some division directors next month. I'm doing managing versus leading to help understand the two of those, how to build better relationships through reports to help the area director visits become a little bit more usable. And then I'm also doing storytelling for leadership. And it's training just for division directors and area directors. If someone else wants to come, by all means, you're welcome to come. They're not private. They're just geared towards that crowd. So we do put training on here for everybody. You can see once we hit March, it starts to diminish a little. We start to have less training. I am doing habits training in March, help people form new habits. April is just a conference, basically. And we are doing a week-long conference. So if you thought that this was a joke that I keep saying we're doing a week-long conference, here it is, 5 days of a conference. We are doing 5 days of a conference in April. Same way we did Fall Education Week. We're going to have 3 sessions on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. On Friday, we're having a contest and a session. And Saturday is the business meeting, the international finals, keynote speaker, and probably 1 or 2 education sessions in there somewhere while we're out doing the business meeting. So this is where to find stuff. And then once you get to May, new term, nothing happening yet. So questions on how to use the calendar, where it is or why it's there, and how to figure out what's happening and what meetings to come to. What questions do you have about this?
Just one more question about the club officer training in
Sure.
At the end of January. Is it 1 office per day?
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Correct. I do not have a full slate of trainers yet for 1 office per day, though. I'm still getting volunteers to train. So at the point where I get a full schedule, which it has to be by Thursday at the very latest, then you'll get the schedule of what training happens on what night. So you'll know starting on Monday where to go.
Okay.
Sure. Jackie.
I was a little confused. There were 3 types of trainings: the actual video that we could watch.
Yep.
Then the roundtable.
Yep.
And the officers training. But I thought in one of the correspondence that you didn't have to do all 3. If you did one, you didn't have to do the other.
Correct. If you go to a live session, so if you go to the starting next Monday, we have live sessions for club officer training. It's president, VPE, 1 night for president, 1 night for VPE, 1 night for secretary, on and on. Or if you came to the live trainings for Fall Education Week, you don't have to do anything else. That's it. You're done.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need the roundtable. The roundtable fills in for the live portion if you don't go watch the training live, if you watch the video instead. So it's either live training or video training plus a roundtable. Those are the 2 options out there. And the look in your eyes just said, I still don't get it.
Okay. So the one that's next week, that's at 7,
Mhm.
or just videos?
No. Those are live. Those are live trainings. So there'll be someone on one night teaching presidents, someone on another night teaching VPEs, someone on another night teaching VPMs, someone on
Right.
another night teaching VPPRs. It's
So why do
all
we have to
live.
watch the virtual one if we have to come to the live one?
Amazingly, Toastmasters have lives outside of Toastmasters. It's a shocking concept. And not everybody can attend a training on the night of the training.
Right, but that's what I'm
So-
saying. So if I just watch the virtual, why do I have to go to the live?
You have to have a live component.
So the roundtable doesn't work. It's just
It's unnecessary. If you go to a live session, the roundtable is unnecessary.
oh,
Don't need to go to a live session and a roundtable. Roundtables are the live component to give you credit for watching a video.
okay. Okay. So I don't have to watch the video. So now I just need to go to the session.
No, you're backwards. You're backwards. All right. There's people that will do this live. So Laura, I'm going to pick on you because you did secretary training last year. Laura, let's say that next Thursday, Laura is conducting secretary training, okay? And you're a club secretary. If
Mhm.
you go watch Laura next Thursday conduct secretary training, you're done.
I-
Done.
So that's what I'm saying.
If you are a club secretary and you have, I don't know, roller derby practice next Thursday,
Right.
and you can't make Laura's amazing session on how to be a better club secretary,
Mm-hmm.
then you can watch the recording of Laura being an amazing club secretary
Mm-hmm.
and then also come to a roundtable.
Okay. So that's what I'm saying. So if I watch that video, I don't have to go to the live session.
Yes, that time you got it. Correct. You said it backwards last time.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, that is it.
Okay. Gotcha.
That is it. Toastmasters International says you have to have a live section. Have to have a live section.
And
Video plus something live.
What about today's live session? It's a round table for something that previously happened?
No, it's a round table. So the videos are out there. It doesn't matter. There's no order in which you have to do it. You can do round table, then video, or video, then round table. Either way works. They're sitting on the internet. It was there before. It's going to be there tomorrow. The order doesn't matter. Order does not matter. And Jackie, the way you're looking up, I'm still sensing confusion. 2 questions. You're muted. We're doing charades.
I have 2 screens.
Oh, got it. Okay. Sorry. Okay. So Margaret, does that make sense? It doesn't matter what order you do them in. You can do the round table first because it's live, or you can and then watch the video, or you can watch the video and then come to the round table, which is live. Or you can just go to a live session and not do either of the other ones.
Okay.
Laura.
Okay, are the people, once you watch a video, are we supposed to go and send you a notification that says, hey, I watched the video on such and such,
Nope, because
besides attending the roundtable?
the round table is the part that TI says you have to have in order to get credit. So if you don't come to the round table, it doesn't matter how many videos you watched.
Okay,
So we just take attendance from the round table because that's the trigger point to getting credit. If you watch all 63 videos, you have way too much time on your hands, but good job. But if you never come to a round table, you still don't get credit because there's no live session involved. Bob.
Okay, just a quick question, Scott. So a few years ago, when we were still doing the live sessions to get our training in, we all signed up to credential. We were there and attended and then there was a little glitch and we had to kind of lobby, say we were there because they didn't post our club credit for the officer training. So I know you're taking it off of the chat. So, and I know you're an earnest, hardworking Toastmaster. So at what point, how do we validate we got credit? Like it will be an online way, just go into in the digital dashboard and we'll see whether we get credit, and
Yeah,
if so, do we contact you if there's a problem? I'm not expecting a
Correct.
problem, but I'm just for the benefit of everybody else, if we didn't get the club credit off this list, there's a glitch, who do we contact?
Me. Just contact me. Just email
Okay.
me.
Okay, I'm
I'm
not
human.
expecting a problem. I just know that one time we had that problem in the
Yeah.
old style thing where we physically got together. Yeah, okay.
It happens.
Sure.
I'm
We're
human.
human
So
beings,
it's
of
still a
course.
manual process. I still have to manually go through all of the chat and enter everybody from the chat into the spreadsheet. It's a manual process. Sometimes I make a mistake. It happens. I don't try to, but it happens. That's why they're called mistakes. If you did it on purpose, it wouldn't be a mistake. It would just be mean. So yeah, so I try to get everybody in there. I go through, I also send the spreadsheet out that I use. I send that out about every 2 weeks or so as we go through this process. And I send it to all club officers. So you can look on there to club officers and say, oh, we got credit. Here's who everybody got credit. I'm also entering them into Toastmasters International as I go instead of waiting to the very end. So you can also go to your dashboard and see how many people have gotten credit through that as well. So there's a couple of different ways to do it that are out there. I have to ask you this in earnest though. Please, everybody, please, 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 please. There are a lot of you. Please, when you get the email that says, here's who came to credit, please, 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 please. I do not need every club officer sending me back a note that says, thank you, or I went on Tuesday. Open the spreadsheet first, take a look, and I don't need 1,000 people replying back, thank you. There have been times I have gotten 400 emails in response to something I send to all club officers, where 350 of them were thank you or got it. I love y'all. I do this because I really want to give back. That is a lot of email to go through. It is a lot of clicking and deleting. Nikki's like, don't do that. So instead, send all those responses to Nikki. She'll love that. If you saw that, she just went, no. So please just look at the spreadsheet first before you reply. This last session, I sent out the spreadsheet and I probably got 50 or 60 people that replied back what day they went. And I'm like, I know that already. You already have credit for it. Stop. So please open it and read it first. That's why I send them to everybody. Make my life easier just a little bit, please. Thank you. That public service announcement is brought to you by my sanity. Margaret.
You send these announcements. You say club officers, so you're sending it to all club officers. And are you getting that data from the Toastmasters International or Toastmasters.org? Is that how you're getting the emails?
Yeah. Yes, I pull a roster from Toastmasters International, which is where I get the emails from that.
As long as all those are correct, then I can be assured that all of my officers are getting the same emails that I'm getting.
Correct. And I pull a new list once a month.
Okay.
So if you have officers that have changed email, if you have officers that have left, go in and make the change in TI. So here's the thing also about getting credit for club officers. Say that you have a club secretary that left, that is no longer a Toastmaster in your club, but so you don't have anybody listed on there anymore as a club officer. Assign somebody to be the secretary for the rest of this year. Even if it's somebody who has multiple roles, just assign someone to do it. So you can then get credit when they come to this stuff. That's how you get 7 of 7. Even if you only have 4 people serving roles, they have multiple roles, put them all into an officer role. So then the website says, oh, we have 7 people in roles. So those 7 people all got trained. It doesn't matter. There's only 4 different names associated with them. Make sure you have a name in there. If you have somebody who is a Toastmaster and then they say, I've paid my dues, but I'm out. I'm just done with Toastmasters. I don't want to have anything else to do with you guys. For whatever reason, make sure you delete them from that list of club officers. Otherwise, they keep getting emails and then they eventually yell at me because they're mad at you for whatever reason. And I get those every once in a while from people that just don't want to get emails anymore. And how can you still be contacting me? So make sure you update that list on a regular basis. But it's around the first of the month, I pull a new list that I use for that next month. And then I just go through, I can't do everybody at once. My email system won't take it. So I do 3 separate emails. I copy and paste the content into 3 separate emails of about 350 people per email. There's 930, I think, total Toastmasters in the district right now, somewhere around there. And then I also do one that goes to area directors and division directors together. What else? What other questions do you have? All right, well, let's look at one other thing real quick. I'm sure that all of you are sitting there thinking, we have so many members in our club, we don't know what to do with them all. When we come back and meet in person, we're going to have to get a bigger room because we've had such growth. That's what everybody's experience has been through the pandemic, right? Your clubs have just exploded with membership. Nobody's saying yes to that, shockingly. So here's a way to help recruit some folks and to re-engage some folks. How many of you have done Speechcraft programs anytime in the last couple of years for your club? Laura, yay, thank you. Margaret, very nice. So they've switched the Speechcraft program. There is now an online version. There's now an online Speechcraft. There's now a virtual program for Speechcraft. It's new. This has only been out in the last, that I know of, in the last couple of months. Before, it was still manually based. When they switched over to Pathways, it was one of those programs that didn't switch as well. What Speechcraft is, it is either delivered in 4, 6, or 8 week sessions, and it allows you to go through how to develop speeches. It's the basis that Toastmasters used when it created the specific training for Rotary International. Because Rotary International has training for its members from Toastmasters. They have one session on how to develop a speech and one session on how to deliver a speech. They use the Speechcraft workshop as the foundation for how to build that for Rotary. This is a great example of how to make it very tangible for how to use public speaking to create better messaging and help you in your careers. All of this is available. If you look at the very top here, all I did, home education Speechcraft, I actually went to this very top right section here, this little search section, and typed in Speechcraft. And it brought me up one option, and I went to here. So it's available out there. If you're looking for a program to help engage members as something that is multiple series, to help guests come back multiple times, consider putting together an online Speechcraft program. It could very much help you in order to be able to retain and help members grow. So that's out there, but not everyone knows that. Anything else y'all want to cover today? Anything else that's out there that you're thinking about? Was this helpful? Very good. I greatly enjoy doing these. I love the fact we all get together. I can't wait to actually be able to do stuff in person again. I miss people. I really miss people. And I think there's a lot of us out there that are really just chomping at the bit to finally get together with people again. But this will be an option that will still be out there for years to come, because we want to make sure that you have the ability to connect with us, to get the training you need. And Bob, this makes sure that nobody has to drive to Indianapolis or Lexington or wherever else that we have clubs in order to go to training. It's a lot easier to figure out a lunchtime to come to one of these, or an evening to come to one of these, because in the evening you can also bring cocktails. Your boss probably discourages that at lunchtime meetings, but in the evening you could bring cocktails. It's perfectly fine. And to just connect with everybody that's out there. Take the time over the next few weeks as you're going through club contests and you're going this, don't forget that we are all doing this because we want to do something better outside of Toastmasters. Never let all of the processes of Toastmasters cloud why we're here. And that is, we're all on some sort of a journey that we want to get better to do something out there. Nobody has ever joined Toastmasters to be a better Toastmaster. Always find ways that you can to apply what we do here to the outside world. It's only by providing your members and yourselves with those opportunities that you'll remain committed and engaged to why we are Toastmasters. I love the Toastmasters community. I think that we have actually come together a little bit more of a community this year because we've been able to do this kind of stuff. And I can't wait to translate this back to real life, in-person connections in the same room with overpriced food at convention centers. But it's going to be fun. So there's no more questions. I'm going to hit stop record.